So you just had an online meeting, and now we have to talk about audiophile stuff that you need to know.
Yes, that's a good subject, isn't it?
I think a lot of audiophiles just dive into the hobby and see where it will take them.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a good strategy?
I think it comes up once in a while that when you are an audiophile, then sometimes you think about what is it? What am I doing? And why am I doing this? And the last time I thought about it was actually last week.
Okay.
I visited Purify. They are located just a few kilometers away from here.
Yeah.
And they have a new tweeter.
Okay.
So, they have their first tweeter, actually.
Yeah.
So I called them, and they had coffee, and we had cake. Yeah. So
that's a good visit.
And it's a good start, isn't it? So they wanted for me to hear their first tweeter, and I, of course, obviously wanted to hear it as well, because we are old friends. We have known each other for a long, long time, and so when something like that is happening, then it's interesting, just because it's interesting, So on my way back in the car, I came to reflect a little bit about this audiophile thing. Actually, I don't like the word very much, because it's so narrow-minded in some way, but it's the word that we have.
Yeah,
so
true.
I think we'll just call it audiophile anyway. And at Purify, they played 2 different loudspeakers of their own with their new tweeter, and they decided the music, and it was not forced like that, but it was just their demonstration. It was not like we decide the music. It was just they played some music for me on 2 pairs of speakers, and in their room, and it sounded nice. It was good. So in the car back to System Audio, I was really thinking about what is this audiophile thing, because I've been in this for 40 years, designing loudspeakers and drive units, and I heard their speaker for the first time in their room with their music, and I thought it was great. And then I thought, well, how do I know that? I've been in this for 40 years, so I have some kind of background, but still, how could I know that it was? How would I know that it was great? Really?
That's a good question. How do you determine when something is great? But do you know the room already? Have you been there before? Have you heard?
I have been there several times, but I have no memory of it. I cannot say what's the room's influence on the sound, and the difference could be another amplifier and obviously a new speaker. So I just decided that this was a great experience, and I really think it was. And then I thought about this audiophile thing, and that.
Is it because it's very clean, or is it because it's very detailed, or is it because the control is good? What was
it? That was exactly why. Why was it? And the reason for me was that I got interested in the music they played.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why it was interesting. I could have used my more analytical listening skills, but this was just
you didn't
old friends having a nice time, and a new product being presented. We had coffee, we had cake. For me, it was just a nice time, and it was an impressive experience. So that was how I thought about it, and I thought that actually audiophile it should be.
It's kind of a dirty word already.
Yeah, the more you say it, the weirder it gets. But I actually think that it should be elevated to something useful. What's interesting to me is actually how does it influence the way I live with music. It's not so much the equipment. It's not so much actually the new tweeter, but the experience was that in our conversation with coffee and cake, we also talked about violins and
like the instrument,
and they played some music with violins, and it was really nice.
That's a hard instrument, just like a piano. It's really, really hard.
Oh yeah, it is absolutely, and
it's a good torture test.
Yes, and they were up to it. They wanted to torture themselves and their own equipment. So that was a kind of hard test for the system. But it made me interested in the music. So that's why. And okay, I will just continue. Okay, is that okay? Because I was
sure.
I was thinking about this audiophile concept being born out of the 50s or maybe earlier than that. That in those days you had classical music, you had jazz music, and you had this market of recording where you could record music and you could hear it in your home. So it was obviously very important that the sound was natural because you had acoustic instruments, and you wanted the instruments to sound natural. So that's how high fidelity was born, and all of this culture around sound and high fidelity was born around the idea of natural sound.
Yeah.
And that's what made me think that today, for many years I have been an audiophile. For many years I've been a speaker manufacturer, and I have also had many visits in recording studios. I know artists. I know people in the music industry, and they don't think like audiophiles.
No,
for them it's
big difference.
Yeah. For them it's different comparing to who you're talking to. Are you talking to an artist, a sound engineer, producer, etc.? But generally, it's a product.
Yeah,
it's a personal expression. It's the sound of the times, or something that is kind of far away from what we think about natural sound.
Yeah.
So that made me think about the sound of a guitar. We all know the sound of a guitar. Doesn't matter where you are. Every one of us have heard an acoustic guitar, and I think we can all imagine that if you were sitting with someone playing an acoustic guitar, then you would have an idea of the sound. I mean, you can recreate how an acoustic guitar would sound in your head.
Yeah, true.
And if you record that sound, if you're sitting 2 meters away from someone playing an acoustic guitar, and you say, well, I'm the audience, this is the guitar player, now I'm recording it with the best from the world, and you go to a HiFi system and you would listen to it, it would sound terrible. It would sound thin. There would be no body in it, in the sound, and it would be absolutely sounding like rubber bands playing on a plastic box, something like that. So what they do in a recording studio, if they want to have a really good recording of an acoustic guitar, they would obviously not place the microphone 2 meters away or 1 meter away. They would place it very close to the guitar strings.
Yeah.
Just like having your ear right beside the strings, not 2 meters away. You have it very, very close. And then as an audiophile, we like the sound of the plectar hitting the strings.
Yeah.
That is a particular little sound that we really enjoy when we can hear that. So the recording engineer would place a second microphone just slightly outside of the guitar to get that sound, to capture it. And another thing
the hole where all the resonances pick up in the acoustical guitar. We did some recordings in live streams as well, and it's fascinating how you can play with the microphone placement and how it alters the sound, or the type of microphone you use, or the how do you call it, the echo, or it's not an echo, but you know what I mean, a reverb, the amount of reverb you add, and all the people say, it sounds so natural. I think, you have no idea how many filters are applied to this.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
It's hilarious. But what I noticed is, just like you said, artists listen so differently than audiophiles. We always had the artists commenting on the systems as well in the live stream. So they performed the track, we recorded it and played it back over the system that we were testing. And we could first hear it live and then over the system that we were testing. And that's a very, very interesting test, to hear the difference between live and the live recording over a HiFi system. And some systems actually performed really, really well. But most just color the sound. That's how it is. There is no system that will give you 100% accuracy. It doesn't exist.
No.
But some did very well. And the artists, when they commented, I thought, wow, you listen so differently than I do. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
They were all into the structures.
Is that an audiophile culture, or what do you think that is?
I'm not sure. I started to alter my way of listening as well, because I think an artist actually listens in a better way than most audiophiles do. They pay much more attention to how the instruments should sound, the structure of the notes, the depth of the notes. They don't pay attention to the amount of detail. Not really. It's not that important to them. It's more like the flow of the music and the intention of the music and how the instruments perform, and not the width of the depth of the image. They don't listen to that at all. It's really funny. It's we want something that's more beautiful and larger than life, and just want to be entertained. That's actually what it is. And they really are into, how does the instrument actually sound? That's funny. It's a big difference.
Yeah. When you take that sound of the guitar, you could have a third microphone, because we also like the sound of the fingers moving on the strings. Yeah. So you would, quite often you would have a microphone for that. And then you would, to create the sound of the guitar, you will mix the sound of the various microphones. It could be 2, it could be 3 microphones, but you would mix it. Mm-hmm. You would put on a compressor, because the when you're hitting the string, it's actually quite noisy. Yeah, and it is. We like to hear the tone of the guitar, so the compressor will take away the peak and it will keep the note there for a longer time.
True.
To make the sound natural.
Yeah.
So what I just thought about this audiophile thing was that the reference of having, just like you said, of the natural sound, that is actually not a goal worth pursuing, because that's not on the recording anyway. What's on the recording is what is an artistic expression.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people don't know. So when they play a track, and that's something I would really like to get out there. Suppose you have a track from, I don't know, Dire Straits or Sting or Faithless, whatever. You have no idea about the choices they made in the studio. So you
no idea.
Wouldn't know how it should be sounding anyway. So if you say it's sounding very natural, what is your reference? Have you been there behind the mixing desk? No, probably not. So the only way to know if your system is actually really accurate is to make a recording yourself, by which you know what choices you made, which filters you applied, the equalizing you did, the reverb you added, anything. And then you play it back. Then you can have an idea how it should be sounding. And the moment we did that in our live streams, it was like, holy moly. Every system alters the sound. There is no system that's 100% pure. It doesn't exist.
No, because of X, Y, Z, many things. But I think the issue here is that we are talking about natural sound as the reference. And since there is no natural sound, since there is actually an artistic product, which is, in my view, far more interesting, far more appealing, that the artist, the producer, they create a soundscape for us that we can decide if we like it or not, and we can decide if it's good sounding or if it's old-fashioned or whatever. But if they have made clever choices, then what we hear is actually what they made. That's their intention. So instead of having the natural, so-called natural sound as our reference, it should be more like what you said, what came out of the mixing console, which still have the problem that we don't know what that is.
No.
So when you drive, when you drive back from having coffee and cake with your friends, and you have the impression that was really great. That sounded really great. Well, how do you know?
How do you know? Yeah, that's a good question. Exactly. How do you know?
Yeah.
And that's you've been producing HiFi for 40 years. And I've only been in the business for 20 years. But I have had this question for 20 years. How do we actually know?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
If we want to be sure what we are talking about, I think that there is sometimes a direction, it's suddenly being an audiophile becomes something like a fashion industry where some kind of sound gets popular, just like colors or anything in fashion can be a part of being an audiophile, because it's modern to talk about a certain kind of sound. And it changes over time. And then some people think it was better in the old days, and others think it's better now, or other things that old days were good and these days are also good, and etc. But that is not. Fashion is something that goes away.
Yeah, true.
So if we want to talk about something good or bad, it cannot be fashion. I mean, then you decide to like something, or you decide to buy something and believe something, because that's what we're talking about right now. This is subwoofers, room correction, ribbon tweeters, whatever, or tube amplifiers, whatever is the thing that we're talking about right now. It becomes fashion, and it becomes the talk of the town, and everybody's talking about that, and suddenly something else takes over. And
it's the same with streaming and vinyl and reel-to-reel and cassette, and then streaming was the best, and after a while CDs were still better, and then it was vinyl is still king. It's kind of a fashion
CD.
SA CD. Yeah.
Oh, you forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot about it. I'm so not interested in DSD.
No.
It never grabbed me, but there are people that like SACD or DSD as well, and that's fine, of course. But like I said, the fashion thing is a good metaphor. Yeah, it's definitely true.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that if you're pursuing a fashion kind of approach, then you are a consumer.
Yeah,
you are buying something, and then you are persuaded someday to buy something else because that's the way everything is going, and then it gets out of fashion, and then you buy something else. And like I said some minutes ago, I think audiophile is more important than that. I mean, because it offers the possibility to experience some kind of inspiration, depth, relaxation, a meaning of something, where when you get home and you are away from the noisy world outside, would you then let fashion take over, and or would you actually connect with music in a kind of system? It's just the audiophile approach I'm criticizing a little bit. And
I agree. I definitely agree. And that's one of the best pieces of advice I think we can give to our audience is, please just follow your own path. If you like something, you like something. You have a certain taste for a certain sound, and don't listen to all the fashion statements out there, and even reviews. I mean, I create a lot of reviews and research, but please don't believe me. Believe your own ears. I can just guide you maybe to some products that could potentially be nice.
You should.
That's my task, but I'm not going to tell you what to buy. Never, ever.
No.
You decide what you buy. It's your money. It's your pair of ears. It's your living room. It's your life. And I'm just there to answer some questions and maybe help a little bit. But please don't believe me. Just that's what I always say. Just try at home. See what you like, and learn. But out there are a lot of good products, and none of them are perfect. Even 300,000 euro loudspeakers are not perfect, and you should know. You've been building speakers for 40 years, so you know better than I that it's not possible to build the perfect speaker. It's always.
But I think if you can find a system that will keep you interested in music,
that's it.
If you, and I think there are some signs. If it does not keep you interested in music, if you listen to the same music like you did many years ago, then maybe, now this is how I think about it, then maybe the system is not good enough for you.
That's an interesting one, actually.
I can see you, but
No. I think it's a really interesting statement. If you just keep playing the same tracks, there's something wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, every one of us should have some kind of interest in what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And in music and anything. We should be curious about something. So if a system can keep you curious about this band, this composer, this instrument, or whatever, and keep you on a track where you keep digging, then you have a good system. You have a system that is in level with you and your demand for a system, because you are finding new music, new inspiration, new ways of relaxation, or whatever you do with your system. So if you can do that, then it's a good system for you. If it does not inspire your taste, if it does not challenge you, if it does not drive you into something new, maybe there could be something in it that doesn't really speak to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does definitely make sense. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I have been thinking about this. That was not on this same car trip, but I've just been thinking about it. This so many times about our senses.
Yeah.
Sometimes we see ourselves as we are sophisticated modern human beings. We're talking, we're talking over the internet to each other, and we think that we're doing something sophisticated, but our senses have not developed in 30,000 years. We are something like that. I'm not.
I've been diving into the function of the brain for the past 4 months, how the brain works. Yeah, I have my reasons to dive into how the mind works, and we have a lot of thoughts, 70,000 a day or something. It's crazy how much we think. And some thoughts are just balloons, popping up and going away. And some will repeat, and some are constantly in our mind. But what I didn't know is that 80% of what we think is actually not true.
Okay.
It's just bullshit. Thoughts that pop up like, I'm not good enough to do this job, or I want to look at a YouTube video, and just all kinds of things go in your mind, and some are very destructive actually for your self-image, and some are just ludicrous, because we always try, and that's what I found out. I'm reading a lot into Buddhism, and you said we're primitive in our senses, and it's really true. We are very good in self-sabotage because we are built to survive. And our brain is actually not there to make us happy. It's to make us survive. And if you think about that, we always try to predict something that is going to happen. But most of the time, we're actually wrong. So we're actually priming ourselves for something that's never, ever going to happen. And that's something from way, way back when we actually needed it to survive. Yeah. But nowadays, we're perfectly fine and safe in our homes. And there's not some kind of madman walking around with a machine gun shooting us, or when we cross the street, there are traffic lights and they work. Most people just stop. So there's not that much danger anymore, but our brain is still working that way. And that's why I got primed when you said our senses. Yeah, they're like from 30, 40,000 years ago. And our ears and our eyes are perfectly accurate. But our brain is, that needs to evolve to nowadays, because it's a fascinating organ. And that's why I'm reading a lot about it. How does it work? And why does it work the way it does? Because I think a lot of people don't realize that we can do so much more and be so much more happy if we understand the whole concept about thought and what it does. It's a fascinating thing. And I think it actually works with music reproduction as well. I think a lot of things we hear are not there. If you think about psychoacoustics and how that works.
But you have the experience that they are there, that those things are there. So,
and our mind and feelings can't make the the separation between what's real and what we actually make up. You can think about danger, and you can think that a singer is in there, and you can feel it.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. And I think that's what the big difference is between a really, really good HiFi system and something that's just mediocre. Because can a really good system convince us, if we close our eyes, that it's there? Because then it can really move you. Because then we really think it's there. Yeah. That's I think the difference between the Sony MIDI HiFi system and something that's just proper HiFi. That will be the thing, I think. So
that is the part that I think actually makes sense, because if you have 70,000 thoughts a day,
it's crazy,
and that's wild. But
that's a lot.
if you need to go home and decouple from the world, yes, exactly.
Yeah,
step away from the world and focus on one thought, or maybe no thoughts, just enjoying something, and get rid of the 70,000 thoughts just to regain energy.
Yeah,
I think that is the true purpose of being an audiophile.
Yeah,
to dive into music and to dive into the ocean of sound, instrument builders, producers that create amazing soundscapes, and dive into that world.
We need that.
Yeah.
I think we really need. I mean, some people go to the gym. Good. Makes you healthy, makes you feel great. It's good to decompress. And some people enjoy music. I love listening to music in the car. It's just me in my cocoon, my music, loud. I love
world
it.
Passing by.
Yeah, just driving. And it's really relaxing for me to enjoy it that way. It doesn't sound, but that's the whole thing. When I'm in the car, I can be in my cocoon, in my bubble. And then I always think, this sounds not even close as good as in the listening room here or at home. And still I enjoy it. That's the magical power of music. But honestly, if I turn up the volume here or at home, it's so much better.
It could be about the thoughts, when you are at home, you are probably not just thinking about the sound.
Wow, you make a good point there.
Things to do.
Yeah, probably because I have things to do. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, at work, I'm working. At home, I have things to do. I have a son and a wife and stuff to do. That could be it. Because in the car, I can only do one thing, and that's drive. And that's mostly easy. So I don't need to.
Yeah, so you have the focus. You have you have a purpose of. So you just do that.
Yeah.
And then and that's automated.
Mostly.
You don't think about how to drive, and so you can actually put your conscious into music. And that is all going on in your mind, or in my mind. Yeah. You can do that anywhere.
I'm gonna try. Just that's a good one. I never thought about that. Yeah.
I think we can train it. I think the thing about those senses that are so primitive is that I have tried it with friends actually to play some music for them and then just ask them to just listen for the bass player.
Yeah.
Not the singer, not the guitar, not the keyboard. Just listen to the bass player. Listen what the bass player is doing.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Or listen for the drummer.
Mm-hmm.
Now we hear the music again, and now you just listen for the lyrics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or some other soundscape. Or you focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you had this analytical listening for just one thing, then you can put it together.
Yeah, true.
And put all of it together, and then you can still hear the bass player as if you were focusing on it.
Yeah,
you can still hear the keyboards as if you were focusing on it. But you hear a whole new kind of complete image, and you enjoy it so much more. And everyone can do that. And suddenly, being an audiophile is not some weird kind of personality that you put over your head.
No.
It's an approach to focus, enjoy, and appreciate art.
But that's the whole thing. I mean, I don't have golden ears. I don't. I'm really, really sure. It's just training. And like you said, the tracks we use in our tests, I know every single thing. Because I know what the bass player does, I know what the singer does, I know where she breathes, I know where the audience is if it's a live recording. And Martijn has his tracks, mostly classical music, and Jung has his tracks, mostly jazzy. So we all have our test tracks that we know if we play it, we should hear this. Because we've heard it 1,000 times on 100 systems. And once you know that, you can hear it and you know where the strengths and the weaknesses are of a certain system. That's not golden ears. That's just hearing the same track over and over and over again on different systems. That's it.
10,000 hours.
Yes. That's
10,000 hours, that's training.
Yeah. And you can train yourself. That's not a difficult thing to do.
But I think you can take that ability to analyze and hear something new.
Yeah.
And then try to distinguish why this is amazing.
Yeah.
Why did they make this? Why did they choose to make this?
Yeah.
And take it seriously that when some kind of music is on a recording, and if it sounds like the way it does, it's because they wanted it. They wanted to give you this.
Definitely.
I mean, so if you hear something new, try to find out why they made it.
Yeah, that's still fascinating because I've heard some products that just have some magical dust. And and like you said, with the Hypex tweeter, why is this so good? What did they do? And I know from certain products that it's really deliberate, and from other products that it was a lucky shot that it just happened. Because I asked him, he said, "Yeah, honestly, we don't know. It just came out this way." And I said, "Yeah, sure. No, really." And I have to believe them. And sometimes you're just lucky. But it would be nice if you know what made it actually so good, so you can reproduce it in other products. Yeah. Because
you can actually improve.
Yeah, and you can tune it even better because you know where it is. But some products are just really good, and or it's also a matter of taste, of course. Wow, how philosophical we get!
Yeah,
amazing.
That's what's but I think it's an interesting approach that you can have to many things. Yeah,
I agree.
With your senses.
Yeah, and don't forget the brain. It does so much stuff. I mean, like I said, with all the thoughts and your point, like, but then you're focused. That's a big difference actually between home the listening room and in a car. In the car, I don't have anything else to do but drive. Then that's why I think a lot of people enjoy music in the car and not at home, because their kids running around and get the garbage out. TV is on. It's really distracting, and you have to clean your room. I don't know. There's always stuff to do at home, so you're never focused on music.
No,
that's a big difference.
I think that if you can take time in the gym, or if you can spend time on a bike, you should allow yourself to spend time inspiring yourself with music. It doesn't even have to be you alone. You can be the whole family, or you can be with your partner, or whatever. You can have some friends over.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just that it's all a decision to do that, and I think it's important. I'm happy to say that I've been an audiophile for 40 years, as long as we agree that it's actually because there's so much inspiration in it.
I agree. I had some moments that I thought, if my wife is upstairs with my son, the evening routine, brushes teeth and stuff like that, I'm going to listen to music. And I did that for a while, and then I can relax because I know they, like I said in an earlier podcast, they hate my music. So,
I forgot. Yeah,
they don't like my music, but it doesn't matter because then I just close the door and I listen to my music, and I still upstairs I hear, oh, he's listening to that crying women again.
70,000 thoughts.
Yeah, there we go. But now I recognize and I can actually stop them. That's a big relief in your life. So I can advise anyone to just read about Buddhism and thoughts and how to handle them. Yeah. It will enlighten your life. But it's just something. It's so hard to get in your daily routine to keep it there, and that's maybe the best advice we can give. Aside from follow your own path, please, is just keep it, like schedule it. Maybe if you have the feeling that you would love to listen to music more, but you can't find the time, there's always time.
Yeah. Tuesday at 8:00.
Exactly. Just schedule it. Maybe it's just an hour or half an hour. Schedule it. This is your me time.
Yes.
You can listen to your music, and I noticed that once you schedule it, you start to listen to your usual suspects first. At least that's for me. But then you start to discover more music, and it will get fun again at home.
Yeah.
And
that's because I guess you have a good system, a system that suits you.
I love my system at home. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great, because if you are developing your musical taste, then it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
If something irritates you,
you stop listening.
Yeah.
True.
Then it's not good enough. I mean, then it's a sign from somewhere.
Yeah. It took me 20 years to find something that's really good. Yeah. Oh man, I love it. And the thing is, and you probably recognize that as well, once you found your system, I'm not going to say it's going to be there for 20 years. I mean, I'm still in a hobby, so I'll probably move on someday, but now I can relax. And I'm not listening to harshness or detail or stereo image. And with my previous system, I was always looking for something to improve. And now I just think, play. Oh yeah, I love this track. I love this artist. I love this bass. I'm not listening to the system. I'm listening to the music. And that's I always thought, yeah, sure. You always listen to a system. I can agree. If you found your system, you start listening to music.
Yeah.
And that's what it should be, I think.
That could be a nice way to end this podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
Couldn't it? Yeah.
It's a good ending.
Now,